The HOA didn't knock. It attacked with paper. One letter turned Ethan Miller's quiet home into a nightmare. Maple Grove looked peaceful from the outside, clean lawns, perfect sidewalks, smiling neighbors. But behind the neat gardens lived a power no one questioned, the HOA. Ethan had moved here to restart life after years of struggle. He didn't want attention, only calm mornings and silent evenings. Then he built one simple fence along his backyard line. Not tall. Not ugly. Just enough to stop the neighbor's dog from tearing his plants and digging holes. 3 days later, a red-stamped notice arrived, violation. Another followed, final warning. Then the last one, remove fence or foreclosure begins. Foreclosure. Over a fence, the HOA president, Karen Whitlock, appeared at his door with a clipboard and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. 7 days, she said sweetly. Or your home becomes ours. Ethan tried to reason. It's my property. Karen leaned closer, voice colder than her smile. Not in this community. As she walked away, Ethan noticed she didn't head home. She walked straight to the fence, measuring it like she was hunting for a reason to destroy him. That night Ethan reread the notice until his hands shook. He had worked too hard to lose everything now. But deep down, he felt it, this wasn't about rules. This was personal, and he had no idea the fence was hiding a secret that would ruin Karen forever. Ethan didn't sleep. The word foreclosure kept echoing in his head like a threat whispered in the dark. By morning he called the HOA office. No answer. He emailed. No reply. He even drove there only to find the door locked with a sign, closed for maintenance. It felt like the system itself was hiding. Then the fine started. $50. $150. $500. Each letter screamed, pay or lien will be filed. Ethan knew what that meant. A lien could become a legal chain around his home, dragging him toward losing it. He hired a surveyor. If Karen wanted to claim the fence crossed lines, he needed proof. 2 days later, orange flags appeared across the yard. The property line was clear. The fence was inside Ethan's land. Relief washed over him like rain. He walked into the HOA board meeting holding the survey like a shield. Karen sat at the front, calm as a queen. Ethan placed the papers down. My fence is legal. Stop the fines. Karen didn't blink. She opened a thick folder and slid it across the table. Inside were photos, complaints, and a different property map showing Ethan's fence over the line. Ethan's stomach dropped. This is fake. Karen's smile sharpened. This is the HOA's official record. Nobody spoke for Ethan. The room stayed quiet, as if fear had glued every mouth shut. Karen leaned in, voice low. Remove it. Or we take your house. That evening Ethan stood by the fence under moonlight. Anger burning behind his eyes. Then he noticed something strange, fresh scratches around one fence post. Dirt looked disturbed, recently moved. He grabbed a flashlight, knelt down, and began digging with shaking hands. His fingers hit something hard and cold beneath the soil. Ethan dug faster, dirt sliding through his fingers. What he touched wasn't rock or root, it was smooth metal. He pulled it free, a sealed box buried beneath the fence post like someone wanted it forgotten. His heart pounded as he carried it inside, washed the mud away, and forced the lid open. Inside were old papers, a folded letter, and a USB drive taped carefully on top. The letter was addressed to, whoever finds this. Ethan swallowed and read. It was written by Harold Jensen, a former HOA treasurer. The words hit like thunder. Maple Grove wasn't being managed, it was being harvested. The HOA board had been shifting property maps by inches, then accusing homeowners of violations. People paid fines, then paid settlements, just to stop foreclosure threats. The money didn't always go to the HOA. One line made Ethan's blood turn cold. Karen Whitlock has been stealing through intimidation. Hands trembling, Ethan plugged in the USB. Files opened, emails, spreadsheets, bank transfers. Karen's name appeared again and again, attached to payments labeled resolution fees. It wasn't about compliance. It was a trap. Ethan stared at the screen, realizing he wasn't the first victim. He was simply the next one. The next morning he hired a lawyer. A real one. Not a name recommended by the HOA. The lawyer watched the videos and read the emails, then looked up slowly. "This isn't neighborhood drama," she said. "This is fraud." Ethan felt hope rise. "So I can fight them?" "You can win," she replied. "But Karen will strike back before court." As if summoned, Ethan's phone buzzed. "Final notice, foreclosure begins tomorrow." Ethan didn't reply. He filed a lawsuit that same day. That night, he checked his mailbox and found a handwritten note with no stamp, no return address, only 3 words: "You dig too much." The note wasn't a warning, it was a message meant to freeze Ethan's blood. Someone had walked up to his mailbox and wanted him to know they could reach him anytime. Ethan installed cameras that night, locked every window, and slept with the lights on. Maple Grove suddenly felt less like a neighborhood and more like a stage where the villain knew every exit. The next morning Karen arrived with 2 men in suits. Her smile was polished, rehearsed. One man held documents like a weapon. "Mr. Miller," he said, "the HOA has filed a lien. Failure to comply will result in seizure of property." Karen stepped closer. "This is what happens when residents ignore rules." Ethan held up the survey. "The fence is on my land." Karen laughed softly. "Your survey doesn't matter. Our map does." For the first time Ethan didn't tremble. He met her eyes. "Then I'll see you in court." Something flickered across Karen's face, fear, quickly buried under pride. She leaned in, voice sharp. "You don't understand what you're doing." Ethan answered calmly. "I do." Karen turned away fast, as if staying another second would expose her. But before she got into her car, she looked back and promised, "You will regret this." That afternoon Ethan's lawyer filed an emergency motion to stop foreclosure. The USB evidence was submitted. The court accepted it. For a moment, the pressure eased, then a neighbor knocked. "Mrs. Carter," an older woman with worried eyes. "Please be careful," she whispered. "Karen did this before. To my son." Ethan's chest tightened. "What happened?" Mrs. Carter's voice broke. "He fought her. And before court. He lost everything. She turned everyone against him." As if proving her point, Ethan's phone lit up with a community post: "Ethan Miller is destroying Maple Grove." The comments were cruel. Lies spread like wildfire. Neighbors who once waved now looked away. Ethan realized Karen wasn't just using paperwork. She was using people, and she was winning. Ethan watched his name become poison. Parents pulled kids away when he walked by. Someone wrote "Go away" in chalk near his driveway. Karen's plan was simple: isolate him, shame him, break him before court. But Ethan still had one thing Karen couldn't control: truth. His lawyer warned him to stay quiet. "Let court speak," she said. But Ethan knew fear spreads faster than justice. So he recorded a video beside the fence. He showed the survey flags, the HOA letters, the foreclosure threats. He spoke calmly, no insults, no rage, only facts. Then he posted it. 4 hours, nothing happened. Then one comment appeared: "They threatened me too." Another: "I paid her to stop foreclosure." Then dozens more. Ethan's hands shook as he read them. People weren't defending Karen anymore, they were confessing what they'd been too scared to say. Screenshots surfaced: secret settlement requests, strange bank transfers, emails ordering property maps to be adjusted. Maple Grove was waking up. Court day arrived like a storm. Ethan entered with his lawyer and the USB evidence. Karen arrived dressed perfectly, smiling like she owned the room. But when the judge reviewed the files, the air changed. Emails showed Karen pushing altered maps. Transfers showed money moving into accounts not tied to HOA. Karen tried to speak. Her lawyer whispered urgently. The judge leaned forward. "Ms. Whitlock, do you understand the seriousness of this?" Ethan's lawyer stood. "We also have testimony." The door opened. A man walked in slowly: Harold Jensen, the former treasurer. Karen's face tightened like a mask cracking. Harold raised his hand, took the oath, then looked at Karen. She's been stealing for years, he said. The judge asked, how much? Harold swallowed. At least $185,000. Karen went pale, then the clerk returned with another report. Karen had tried to move the money the night before. Karen's mistake wasn't stealing. It was believing she'd never be caught. The judge stared at the report, then looked directly at her. Ms. Whitlock, he said, you attempted to move funds while under investigation. Karen's lips trembled. She glanced toward the HOA board members, but they avoided her eyes. Even they were afraid of being dragged down with her. Ethan sat still, heart pounding. He expected to feel victory, but what he felt was disbelief. This woman had threatened to take his home with a smile. Now she couldn't even hold her own composure. Karen's lawyer tried to speak. The judge raised a hand. Enough. He turned to Ethan. Mr. Miller, your fence is within your legal boundary. All fines and liens are dismissed. Relief hit Ethan so hard his eye stung. But the judge wasn't finished. He faced Karen again. This court will not tolerate abuse of power. Judgment will be issued. Karen's voice cracked. No, please. The judge's tone stayed calm. You used foreclosure threats to intimidate residents. You manipulated records. You caused financial harm. Then he said the number that made the courtroom freeze, $185,000. Karen's breath stopped. That amount wasn't random, it matched the trace transfers, the hidden settlements, the years of fear. As court ended, Karen walked past Ethan and hissed, this neighborhood will hate you forever. Ethan didn't answer. Outside, neighbors waited. Not angry, ashamed. Mrs. Carter stepped forward with tears. We believed her, she whispered. We're sorry. One by one others apologized, admitting they stayed silent because they feared becoming the next target. Ethan thought the nightmare was finally over, but that night he found an envelope taped to his fence. No stamp. No name. Only one line, you're next. If you stay. Ethan stared at the words, realizing Karen might be gone. But the fear she created was still alive. Ethan held the envelope for a long time. The threat felt familiar, but weaker now, like the last breath of a bully who had lost power. He didn't panic. He didn't hide. Instead, he sat at his kitchen table, opened his laptop, and decided to end the fear for good. He made one public post. Not angry. Not dramatic. Just truth. He uploaded every HOA letter, every fine, every foreclosure threat, the survey proof, the USB evidence, and the court judgment. Then he wrote, if this happened to you, speak up. Within hours the post spread beyond Maple Grove. People from other neighborhoods shared their stories. Some recognized the same tactics: altered rules, fake violations, pressure to pay quietly. Karen's name began appearing online like a warning sign. The next morning Ethan's lawyer called. Karen tried to appeal, she said. But the evidence is overwhelming. The judgment stands. Ethan exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for months. Then the community changed in a way nobody expected. The HOA board resigned. A new board formed with transparent rules. At the first meeting, Mrs. Carter stood up and said, we let fear turn us into strangers. We won't do that again. People nodded. Some cried. Ethan didn't speak much. He didn't need to. His fence stood quietly behind his home, not a violation, but a boundary that protected him and exposed truth. Weeks later a court notice arrived. Karen's assets were being seized to cover the $185,000 judgment. Her power was gone. Ethan didn't celebrate. He just watched the sunset from his porch, feeling peace return. And the real twist wasn't only that Karen lost $185,000, the real twist was that one simple fence saved an entire neighborhood, and that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you loved the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.